Hey, what's going on? Wow, what a good-looking group you are. I can't believe someone conned you guys into coming all the way to rainy Bali to listen to a guy talking in socks, man. This is ridiculous. Welcome to Bali. Um, all right, so we're talking about 3 failures that led to $50 million in sales. That's super clickbaiting. I'm totally aware. We're going to get into actual failures, I promise you. Let me do the intros really quick. And by the way, I know I'm the last guy, so I'm the one keeping you from food and drinks. I promise 30 minutes of talking, 10 minutes of Q&A, and we'll get right into it. All right, who am I? Justin Cooke. I'm a partner at a company called Empire Flippers. My wife's in the back. We are actually nomads of the digital nomads. So we travel around. We have a couple of suitcases, and we are 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there. We're in Bali for a couple of weeks, and then we're heading off to Prague and then doing a Europe thing for a couple of months. Company is Empire Flippers. We're a business broker, so we help people buy and sell online businesses. We have a marketplace for that and a team, and that's remote as well. We've done a lot of business. So, it went from my business partner and I sitting in a townhouse in a remote part of the Philippines, hustling it up, to $50 million in sales total. We have a potential customer base of 80,000 people that are interested in buying and selling online businesses. So surprisingly enough, there's a real market for this. And then we've been an Inc. 5000 company 2 years in a row. I think we're going to get this third year. So it's 3 years in a row or really close to it. So that's it. That's all I'm pimping with Empire Flippers. I'm going to talk about some of the negative stuff that we went through so you know that we're not just shilling the company. Our partners, we've worked with a bunch of partners. That's our team in Boracay. We do the team retreats as well. We found them amazingly valuable. We get our team together twice a year. And, in getting everyone together, we work for 2 weeks out of villas and that kind of thing. And then we partnered with a bunch of companies. All right, so I don't have to tell you guys, but, the digital nomad thing, everyone thinks you're chilling on the beach, fruity drink in hand, partying and knocking out some SEO or whatever. That's not at all the case. This is my business partner pulling out the hair he has left. We're in a little townhouse and he's freaking out about some spreadsheet or something, right? So that's actually our business. I don't have to tell you guys that because you guys know the real deal. And I really like to do talks about like the real side of business and struggles and failures. And we're not going to be talking about the left side. I want to talk about the right side a little bit. So we're going to go through that today. So we've got 3 failures we're discussing. The first one is how we lost $1.5 million. Sucked. I'm going to get into it. Second one is how we were fired by our own employees. We could not keep them. The third one is Joe and I fighting and battling and our management team hating us. And we're going to talk about, well, to be fair, that's not done. So that's actually a problem in progress. And maybe I can talk to you guys. You can help me out with that problem. So first failure, losing $1.5 million. I should explain a little bit of background, and I'll be brief. But my business partner and I worked for an SEO company in the US. We were mid-level managers trying to hustle our way up in this company, and we were hiring people right and left. If they came in and had a pulse, we would hire them because we needed them. They were growing so quickly. And we ultimately started hiring people in the Philippines because we found some people that were amazing and cheap. And, they had pulses, and they were willing to work for us. So we worked with this girl in the Philippines, and she started hiring more and more people to the point that we decided to go out there and train these people that we had hired. She hired like 5 or 6 people at this point. So we go to the Philippines. We're like, great. She set up a nice little office and everything. She's like, no, come into my home. We're like, all right. So we walk into her home. We're like, well, you got them like a couple of bedrooms or something. She's like, no, go into my closet. We're like, what? So we go into the closet, and she's got 4 or 5 people on like a plastic desk with plastic chairs, not ergonomically fashionable, and just we're running a sweatshop effectively in the Philippines. So we've got this sweatshop in the Philippines that we're running. We're like, oh my God, this isn't going to work. That's not who I want to be. We go back and we tell our CEO, CFO, we're like, no, we got to fix this. So we had an idea. We said, look, we can why don't we do something? We'll set up a deal where we set up a company in the Philippines and we'll outsource ourselves to the Philippines and have an outsourcing company. So we pitched them on this idea, and they take us up on it. We negotiated the deal. It's basically $2 million over the course of 3 years. We said, okay, fine. We take that contract in hand, and we basically set up our Tri-BPO company out of the Philippines. So we're really excited. Joe goes over to set up the office, get everything running, spend all the money that we'd been working towards on this contract. And I stay in the US and work with our client there. We're trying to hustle up new clients. And while we're there, my mentors say, look, you can't go to the Philippines. You have to stay here and work with your client and your previous employer and work with them. And I said, I really want to go. My business partner's over there, making dollars, spending pesos. And in my head, he's just having a blast, right? I mean, he's doing a lot of work, but he's having an amazing time. And I'm like, this sucks. I want to go too. And I finally do. I leave and I say, look, I want to go over there. I want to be a part of this company we're building. And it sucks not being there. So I end up going over to the Philippines as well. And that was a bad idea because that contract we signed, it was a no-cut contract, guaranteed money. Yeah, not so guaranteed. They dropped that contract 2 or 3 months after I went over in half. Boom, your money's halved. Your salary, your team, we're going to cut them in half. They did the same thing again 2 months later, cut in half again. 2 months later, done. So this no-cut contract for $2 million we had over 3 years, lost, gone. We're stuck in the Philippines with very little money. This customer was 70% of our revenue. So our company is not a company anymore. So we're in the Philippines, stuck in Mindanao, which is kind of the dangerous place in the Philippines. We're stuck in the Philippines with no money, no contract, and worried what the hell we're going to do. We're probably going to have to go back home and get jobs, and we're screwed, and our digital journey is over before it even started. So, yeah, that was pretty terrible. That was one of the worst experiences in our business so far. The thing we learned is that your business needs to fit you. So I don't feel bad at all that I went to the Philippines, even though my mentor was like, hey, maybe that wouldn't be a good idea, because the business we were building needs to serve us. Ultimately, as entrepreneurs and founders, the business needs to serve our lifestyle, serve our interests. And if it's not, then we need to change our business model. And that wasn't working for us. And the other thing is contracts are not worth a lot because, and I know this now, if a business gets in trouble or has a problem, they're going to cut contracts. And if they're going to cut contracts, they're going to cut it with their contractors first. They're going to keep their core team, and they're going to cut third-party contractors first when the business gets in trouble. And that's exactly what we were to them. So by being a third-party contractor and not having our own business, that was super problematic. And ultimately trying to fit a square peg in a round hole wasn't helpful. We were trying to build a business that just wasn't us, ultimately. So we had a bit of a wake-up call. The first thing is we weren't going back to the US, even if this didn't work out. And that was super difficult. There were months we didn't get paid or paid ourselves very little money. It ended with us closing an office, which is probably one of the worst professional days of my life. That sounds so silly now. But we ended up, we had an office, and we had a real business, right, with this office. And we just shut the doors because we couldn't afford it. So we sent everyone home, and I felt like a loser, right? Because we're sending everyone home, get out of here, we're closing our doors. Ultimately, it's a fantastic decision because, as you all know, having a remote business is way better, but it wasn't so great at the time. Second thing is we needed a business that would support our new lifestyle, the things that we wanted to do. And then we also needed to build something that was less fragile. Fragile meaning any customer that's more than 50% of your revenue is a huge problem, and we figured that out pretty quickly. All right, the second failure, we got fired by our own employees. So has anyone heard of a company called Tropical MBA? Anybody? Yeah, so they run a really cool podcast, totally worth listening to. And this is years ago, I think 2012 or so, they were talking about apprentices, this apprenticeship model. And what they were doing is they were bringing people out from the US, Australia, UK, taking them some hole-in-the-wall place in the Philippines and setting them up to do some side work for them, do some side work for their company. And they were paying them $1,000 a month or something. And so Joe and I were interested in this idea, and we said, the problem with that is, who the hell is going to come to the Philippines for $1,000 a month? That is ridiculous. They're getting losers. Only losers are going to go to the Philippines for that amount of money. No way. So we go out to meet one of these new guys that they hired, and he was awesome, bright, sharp, amazing. We said, oh my God, dude, we got to get on this. We got to hire some cheap people, bring them out to the Philippines. We'll figure out what we do with it later. So we said, yeah, great. We're going to get some cheap people. We're going to make some money, and they're going to work for us, and then they're going to go be entrepreneurs. So we're going to give them, some help. We're going to get them on their entrepreneurial path. 12 months in, they're going to go be entrepreneurs on their own, and we'll just recycle. The problem with this is we found out it takes about 9 months for us to be profitable on a new hire. So to keep them 9-12 months, we're just churning and burning, and it is not a good idea. It takes a lot of time and effort on my business partner and I's thing. And then the cost of just bringing them on board, they're cheap, their salary was cheap, but there's costs associated with that that's outside of their salary, and that was a problem for us. So what we learned is this churn and burn strategy with hiring cheap people and bringing them out wasn't good. We need to think longer term. So our plan to have them go be entrepreneurs after 12 months was dumb, quite honestly. And so we spent a couple of years figuring this problem out. 2 or 3 years of just hiring someone, churning through them, hiring someone else, and churning through them. So we were not keeping our team. We figured out we needed to do that. So what we needed to do was we needed a plan for them longer term. The first thing we did was, we would have these strategy sessions, quarterly strategy sessions. And this is, as a side note, this has been hugely valuable for us. But what we'll do is we'll take a 3 to 5 year game plan on what we want to do with our company, where we want to be, and then we'll break it down backwards. We'll go back a year and say, here's where I think we need to be in 12 months, right? And then we'll break it down even further than that. What do we need to do each quarter to hit our annual goal so we can hit our 3 to 5 year goal? What we did was we ended up bringing in these apprentices into those meetings. And not just open kimono. Like, here's the deal. Here's where we want to be in 3 to 5 years. Here's what we need to do next year. Here's what we need to do quarterly. Let's do it. And so they were then engaged and involved in these kind of planning sessions, these strategy sessions, to help us get to where we need to go. So, by inviting them into these strategy sessions, they were now a part of the plan and felt more engaged. We also realized paying them, I think it was like $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month at the time, is not a real long-term strategy, and just keeping it the same. Like, that's probably not going to work. So we needed a new way to pay them, and we worked out a compensation plan that grows with the business. So it's basically tied to, and I can talk about this or answer questions about it later, but it's basically tied to the growth of the business, and it expands or contracts based on how successful the business is doing. It gives us the benefit of scaling our team to our growth. So if we have a bad quarter, then we can shrink it down, tell everyone to tighten their belts. If we have a great quarter, we can pay them a fair amount of money. We also figured out, instead of pushing them out the door, fly, birdie, fly, we could allow for internal entrepreneurship. Give them projects that they can own and run inside the company. Let them spread their wings as someone on the team at Empire Flippers. So, it's a lot harder as a brand new entrepreneur. It's a lot harder to go from, $0 to $5,000 a month than it is to go from, $60,000 to $80,000 a month. That's a lot easier, miles easier than the first 5,000. So we said, look, why don't you do that at Empire Flippers? Why don't you help us grow? You'll make a bigger impact. All right, so our third failure, and this is one that we're still struggling with, is my business partner and I. When it was just the two of us working out of an apartment or a townhouse in the Philippines, it's pretty easy. It's just me and him. I can say, hey, look, man, I'm doing this bit of sales. He goes, yeah, I'll do this other bit of sales. We'll both work on marketing together. It's really easy to communicate. It gets worse and worse, obviously, as you add more and more people to your team. And part of our problem is that as we added managers and more to our team, they were getting super frustrated because I would tell, someone that was brand new on the team to do A, my business partner Joe would tell them to do B, and those were in conflict. So, and then they would get mad at their managers. It was just an absolute cluster. So we realized we needed to, and we were trying to go for the kind of flat structure, the open structure, and we failed at it horribly. So I just thought it was cool, it's like, oh, those tech startups, and they have this flat structure. You don't have bosses. Everyone's a boss, right? Yeah, it didn't work for us at all. So way too many chefs at the boardroom. So we decided to cut that out. Said, look, we're going to go military style. We're going to have, here's the boss, here's the managers in place, here are the people that work for them. And it was much more clear communication. divide and conquer. So, my business partner takes sales, takes some administrative stuff. I do marketing and operations. And then we also realized that we need managers who can actually pass down some of our strategic vision, where we want to take the company. So we got too big to where we weren't able to do the strategy meetings with everyone in the company. So we said, look, we'll keep it managers only. But we need to make sure they're able to pass that information down to their team and then give us the feedback up as well. So we've been working with them on that. This is something that we're still struggling with. We do a much better job than we did when we started, but it's still difficult. And we're learning how to pass the torch to our managers, to our senior leadership team. We struggle with it a bit, but we're getting better. One thing we've done that's been really effective is we've taken kind of an org chart that we have and then expanded that to what we see the org chart in 3 to 5 years. So say, for example, the marketing team will have an org chart, and then we'll say, look, in 3 to 5 years, this is where we see our marketing team. So it gives our employees, it gives our managers some sense of where we're going. And if there are areas where they excel at or want to advance, they can start to head in that direction. So maybe we don't have an audio video person now, but if they want to learn those skills, they can head in that direction. We don't have a biz dev person, but if they're interested in biz dev, they can start heading in that direction. So 3 main takeaways. The first one, build a business that fits you. I don't have any regrets about going to the Philippines and running the company. That ultimately became Empire Flippers. I'm very happy about it, even though we lost a lot of money on that deal. Second one is to grow a team that sticks. So pay your people, put them in positions where they can succeed, and work with internal entrepreneurship. And the third is mentor your managers. Work with your managers to make sure there's good pass flow from you to the team and from the team to you. That's it.